What business does a high school dropout have at a big company? You're out of place, so leave immediately.
On the day of the business negotiation, I arrived at the client's company to find my former classmate, Eric, mocking me. In high school, I did live a life that could be considered at the bottom, and I didn't go to college before entering the workforce. Is it so bad to be a high school graduate? I clenched my fists, trying to suppress the rising anger. I really am out of place here. Excuse me. With that, I quietly left the room. On my way back to the office, I called my secretary, David, on my phone. Cancel the ongoing negotiation. Pull everyone back.
Are you serious? That's a $30 million deal.
Yes, I'm serious. We're going to contract with the other company, Johnson Corporation. Besides Smile Corporation, where Eric works, there was another company under consideration for this deal. And the person who had the discretion to decide which company to contract with was me. My name is Jason. I'm 42 years old and work for a major air conditioning company called Brown Corporation. Right now, I'm incredibly busy as I'm on the verge of securing a new contract. Honestly, I just want to get this deal done quickly so our team can disband as soon as possible. It's tough working with people we don't get along with in the first place. We end up wasting energy on unnecessary concerns, and it's hard to make progress when we can't agree on things. Regarding this contract, it shouldn't be that difficult in the first place. What complicates things is the presence of our sales manager, Mike. Mike is the same age as me, 42, and has been the sales manager since last year. We've worked on the same team several times since we were young, but we always ended up clashing and never finished on good terms. Mike has had a brilliant career, and he's been on the fast track since he joined the company. He graduated from a famous university in New York and joined Brown Corporation with a lot of fanfare. He was on a smooth path to success until I showed up, and things took a dramatic turn. Since we're the same age, the company has treated us as good rivals. But Mike, with his high pride, didn't like that at all. I had been working at a subsidiary for a long time, and my achievements got me a job at Brown Corporation. Because of this, Mike completely looked down on me. However, ever since I started working at the same company, things have been rough for Mike. For starters, Mike is not popular with women at all. He started balding in his 30s, and his belly sticks out, likely because he drinks a lot during business meetings. These aspects of his appearance make him very unpopular with the female employees. On the other hand, I'm 6 feet tall and regularly work out at the gym, so I have a fit body. Mike was always compared to me and developed a huge sense of rivalry. He even asked which gym I go to and signed up right away. However, having no habit of exercising for years, he signed up for the membership but never actually goes. So, there's no progress, and even a little walking makes him sweat heavily and breathe hard. Because of that, he's not popular with women and remains single at 42. On the other hand, I got married when I was 30 and live happily with my beautiful wife, though we don't have children. This time, I was appointed as the team leader to secure the contract, but our business partner also posed a significant problem, causing me a headache. Another person giving me a headache is a man named Eric. Eric and I were classmates from elementary school through high school, and I have no good memories of him. Since we had gone our separate ways, I thought we'd never meet again for the rest of our lives. However, we ended up crossing paths in an unexpected way, making me realize how strange life can be. In high school, we constantly competed for the top spot in exams. Our desire not to lose to each other made us study hard. I think it was back then that I learned the value of hard work. If that experience shaped who I am today, maybe those days weren't so bad after all. But that's something I can only say now. Back then, it was tough. I wanted to have a peaceful high school life, but Eric always picked fights with me. From Eric's perspective, his plans were derailed by my presence since he expected to be number one all the time. He must have held a grudge against me. Eric received gifted education even before entering kindergarten. His mother was especially enthusiastic about his education and tried to get him into a prestigious private kindergarten. However, Eric failed the entrance exam spectacularly. Of all times, he couldn't hold it during the family interview and had to go to the bathroom. Even now, his mother resents that failure and complains about it to the neighbors. It's hard to imagine a child growing up well in an environment where such a childhood failure is constantly broadcasted to the neighbors. Eric went to public kindergarten and then took the entrance exam for a prestigious private elementary school, but failed again. By the time he was in middle school, his mother no longer insisted on him attending a famous school. As a result, Eric felt liberated, and his grades improved significantly. If it weren't for me being his classmate, he would have been the undisputed top student, leaving a remarkable academic record. To Eric, I was nothing but a nuisance. After graduating from high school, we took completely different paths and were both relieved. Eric probably never imagined that he would cross paths with me again in his 40s. This negotiation is crucial for our company, so I, as the team leader and department head, was sent to handle it. The thought of seeing him again at this age made me feel heavy. Maybe Eric has been tempered by society and has learned to consider others' feelings. If so, perhaps we can overcome our long-standing grudges and become friends. But that was just wishful thinking on my part. We were like the north and south poles of a magnet, completely incompatible. Eric's company, Smile Corporation, is a well-known building management company. I have to admit, Eric's steady rise in the company is impressive. When our team from Brown Corporation arrived at Smile Corporation's headquarters, we were escorted to the meeting room. There stood Eric, with stylishly groomed hair and a fancy suit. He immediately recognized me. From the moment we exchanged business cards, his attitude towards me was arrogant. He was leading the negotiation for Smile Corporation and introduced his team members without looking at me. Smile Corporation employees looked puzzled, unsure how to interact with me. Suddenly, Eric spoke to me.
"What are you doing here? Are you here for some mechanical work?"
Well, something like that. I didn't want to anger Eric, so I pretended I was only there for technical support and didn't mention that I was the team leader. Then, in front of everyone in the negotiation, he insulted me.
"What business does a high school dropout have at a big company? You're out of place, so leave immediately."
In high school, apart from my good grades, my life could indeed be described as being at the bottom, and I didn't go to college but entered the workforce. Is it so bad to be a high school graduate? I clenched my fists, trying to suppress the rising anger. I really am out of place here. Excuse me. With that, I quietly left the room. On my way back to the office, I called my secretary, David, on my phone. Cancel the ongoing negotiation. Pull everyone back.
Are you serious? That's a $30 million deal.
Yes, I'm serious. We're going to contract with the other company, Johnson Corporation. Besides Smile Corporation, where Eric works, there was another company under consideration for this deal. And the person who had the discretion to decide which company to contract with was me. After hanging up, I put my phone in my chest pocket and gazed out of the car window. Now, I have a personal driver, and I can spend my travel time relaxing in the spacious back seat of a luxury car. However, getting here wasn't easy. My father wasn't around since I was little, and I was raised by my mother and grandmother. According to my grandmother, my father left us for another woman. Since then, my mother worked hard outside, while my grandmother took care of the house and looked after me. I got used to a fatherless home, but poverty was something I never fully adjusted to. Moreover, once I started school, the difference between rich and poor became evident through our possessions. Eric's family was wealthy, and everything he had was high-end. I, on the other hand, used hand-me-downs from neighbors. Though I was often praised for my good grades, the contrast between my poverty and the other students' wealth was glaring and depressing. As I entered high school, the countdown began towards the inevitable fate of entering the workforce straight out of high school. It was far from an enjoyable high school life. After that, with nothing changing, I graduated from high school and took a completely different path from Eric. Through the recommendation of my homeroom teacher, I joined a subsidiary of Brown Corporation. The president of that subsidiary was a self-made man who, like me, had only a high school diploma when he started the company. Seeing him gave me hope. The president also took a liking to me and suggested that I continue my education while working by attending graduate school. Of course, I needed the understanding of my colleagues, but everyone was very supportive and covered my work during classes. Thanks to them, I was able to attend all my classes without missing a single one. While others dropped out one by one, I graduated from graduate school with perfect attendance and went on to specialize further. In that graduate school, I studied architecture, which is now an integral part of my job. Thus, my qualifications went from a high school diploma to a graduate degree. It was all thanks to the support of my coworkers. I vowed to work hard and repay their kindness for the rest of my life. Many events followed, and with the president's retirement, I transferred to Brown Corporation, the parent company. Now, I hold the position of general manager overseeing the business division at Brown Corporation's headquarters. Next year, I am set to be promoted to an executive position. Using my authority as general manager, I decided to switch our business partner from Smile Corporation to Johnson Corporation. The other employees returned from Smile Corporation's headquarters, looking puzzled.
Jason, what's going on? We've come this far in the negotiation, and now we're canceling it at the last minute?
Sorry for the sudden change. The person in charge over there didn't like the fact that I was leading the negotiation. It would have affected your work in the long run.
Come to think of it, that sales manager Eric was saying something arrogant to you, Jason. After you left, he talked to our sales manager, Mike.
I knew that Mike had been working hard to secure the contract with Smile Corporation for this negotiation. I would have to explain later that my decision wasn't made out of spite for Mike. If we continued with Smile Corporation, I would have had to face Eric much more frequently. Not only would I have had a bad time, but it would also have affected our employees. If the general manager is looked down on, other employees might be treated as inferiors too. Knowing Eric's personality since childhood, I could predict his future actions. I needed to protect the employees who have been working hard alongside me. In fact, everyone who heard Eric's abusive words was outraged.
That guy Eric called Jason a high school dropout. Jason is someone who worked hard, contributed to the company, and graduated from graduate school. He's a role model for all of us.
I had 2 encounters with Eric leading up to this negotiation, and he was an unpleasant guy. Right after exchanging business cards, he asked about my university. When he realized I went to a lower-ranked school, his attitude became condescending.
On the other hand, the sales manager at Johnson Corporation is amazing. I've been negotiating with Johnson Corporation, and their manager made me want to work with them. Even when it was decided that we would go with Smile Corporation, he didn't show any negativity.
No one criticized my decision to change our business partner at the last minute. If anyone had a problem with it, it would probably be Mike, who was still talking to Eric at Smile Corporation's headquarters. While I was discussing this with my team, my secretary, David, walked in.
Eric from Smile Corporation is here. Would you like to see him?
I didn't have time to hesitate, and Eric pushed his way in right behind David. Eric, looking very flustered, hurried over to me and apologized.
I'm sorry. I never imagined you were in charge of this negotiation. I heard about your achievements from Mike. I understand you worked hard to graduate from graduate school. That's impressive.
The information you had about me was that I was a high school graduate, so I guess it's understandable. However, whether I was the business partner or not, those comments were unacceptable. I can't work with someone who values academic background over everything else. When I firmly rejected him, Eric trembled and looked up at me with pleading eyes. We used to be about the same height in high school, but I had grown significantly taller soon after. Now, Eric had to look up to me. I wondered how Eric felt about the fact that the person he once looked down on now surpassed him both physically and socially.
Please don't say that. This contract is very important for our company too. I was put in charge, and I don't know what to tell my superiors if it ends like this.
That's not my concern. You weren't happy to see me either. Isn't it better for both of us to avoid further contact?
Please, I'm begging you. Please reconsider.
Gone was his high-handed attitude, replaced by a pale face and repeated apologies. In reality, he probably didn't want to apologize to someone like me. This must be the misery of being an employee. I had become the ultimate winner.
Thinking back, I realize I've acted in ways that made you uncomfortable since high school. If this contract falls through, I'm really in trouble. I'm sorry for everything in the past. Please forgive me.
As Eric desperately apologized, David appeared and announced,
Representatives from Johnson Corporation are here.
I left Eric where he was and stepped out to meet the Johnson Corporation team. After that, Eric lingered for a while, unwilling to give up, but eventually he resigned himself and left. Thanks to the efforts of the person who had been handling the Johnson Corporation deal, it went smoothly. Because of the contract with Johnson Corporation, Mike, who had been pushing for the Smile Corporation deal, was left isolated. Mike was furious at my decision.
We've worked so hard to advance this negotiation, and now you pull out at the last minute. What was all my efforts for?
I sincerely apologize for that. It wasn't out of spite for you. I'm sure you're aware of my history with Eric, but this decision wasn't driven by old grudges. I felt genuinely sorry for Mike, who had been working hard on the negotiation. While it's impossible for me to work with Eric, Mike and I are colleagues in the same company. I hope we can continue to work together without causing any more disruptions. I apologize to Mike sincerely. However, Mike seemed to have misunderstood my humility. Suddenly, he puffed out his chest arrogantly and pointed his finger at me.
Is that what you call an apology? If you really want to apologize, do it with more sincerity.
The nearby employees looked at us in surprise. Mike is the sales manager and technically my subordinate, as I am the general manager. Demanding an excessive apology from me for getting his position is definitely problematic. Just then, I heard the sound of high heels in the hallway. Recognizing the familiar sound, I looked toward the door. Soon, my wife, Lily, appeared. Usually, she would greet me with a sweet smile, but it seemed she had overheard my conversation with Mike in the hallway. She entered the room with a furious expression and approached Mike. Mike stepped back in panic at Lily's fierce demeanor. Lily stood close to me and berated Mike.
Who do you think you are, making my husband Jason apologize? You're just a sales manager, right?
Lily was still deeply in love with me, and our relationship was perfect. Raised as the daughter of the current president of Brown Corporation, Bob, Lily never experienced financial hardship. She studied abroad in Spain during college and attended a prestigious women's university in New York. After graduating from college, she worked in an office in the city for a while, but returned home at Bob's request. Bob intended for Lily to marry a man holding a key position in the company. However, Lily, though straightforward in nature, did not blindly follow Bob's wishes and wanted to lead her life on her own terms. While she considered Bob's opinion on her marriage partner, she ultimately decided to choose for herself. Lily first dated Mike. They were both in their 20s at the time, and Mike wasn't yet out of shape with a protruding belly or balding head. Out of curiosity, I once asked her,
"What attracted you to Mike?"
Well, back then, him not being handsome was actually reassuring. I didn't have to worry about anyone else stealing, but gradually, I started hearing bad things about him at the office, and my feelings cooled.
As they dated, Lily began to feel uneasy about Mike's arrogant attitude and baseless confidence. Eventually, they started arguing constantly, and their hearts drifted apart. One day, when Lily happened to visit the headquarters, she saw me walking down the hall and fell in love at first sight. Lily quickly began researching me, and reassured by the rumors that I was good at my job and had a great personality, she approached me. When Lily first invited me to lunch, I was beyond surprised and thought it might be some kind of prank. Though we only had a casual conversation, Lily became captivated by my personality. Thus, Lily officially broke up with Mike and started dating me. Our relationship progressed under Lily's initiative, and we got married when I turned 30. Lily, who respects and loves me deeply, truly became my goddess of destiny. After marrying Lily, I quickly surpassed Mike in my career. From Mike's perspective, He might have felt that I had stolen Lily from him and also outpaced him in both career and marriage. Ironically, the public began to take notice of the successive misfortunes of Mike and Eric, both deeply connected to me. The contrast between their decline and my steady professional success became increasingly noticeable. During this time, a major issue arose between the two of them. Eric, eager to secure a contract with Brown Corporation, had bribed Mike, the sales manager. Both Brown Corporation and Smile Corporation launched thorough investigations. It soon became evident to the investigators that Mike and Eric had a deeply corrupt relationship. They were frequenting a hidden bar together and leaking their company's internal information to each other. The first issue to surface was Eric's unauthorized withdrawal of company funds, leading to his immediate dismissal after the investigation concluded. Meanwhile, it was discovered that Mike had been using the bribe money from Eric to support an affair. Although Mike was single, his affair was with the wife of one of his subordinates in the sales department. The subordinate eventually divorced his wife and kicked her out. She tried to move in with Mike, but he refused, causing her to become enraged. She threatened to expose all the information she had learned about Mike during their affair, creating further chaos. She even threatened to sue him, claiming that Mike was responsible for the breakdown of her marriage. At this point, the company could no longer protect Mike, and he was forced into early retirement. Bob had a deep attachment to Mike, so he couldn't hide his shock at this betrayal. After all, Mike had once been seriously considered as a potential husband for his daughter. Now, Bob was likely relieved that Mike had never become his son-in-law. As Mike's misdeeds came to light, Bob's esteem for me skyrocketed in proportion.
I'm really glad I entrusted Lily to you, Jason. Mike had an impressive academic background and wasn't doing badly in sales either. I almost got completely fooled.
All I could do was give a wry smile. Throughout high school, I was compared to Eric, and in my professional life, I was compared to Mike. Neither comparison was pleasant, but in the end, I can say I emerged as the winner. Not letting these comparisons breed a sense of competition or bitterness likely led to these positive results. Mike, seeking to cash in on the favors he had done, visited Eric's house. However, Eric had also been fired from his company and was in no position to take care of Mike. In the end, Mike forcibly entered Eric's house, prompting Eric's wife to call the police, turning it into a police matter. After being admonished by the police officers who heard the situation, Mike left that day. However, Eric's wife and children, worried that he might return, moved to a weekly rental apartment. This led to a natural separation. With the new fiscal year, my status also changed. I was promoted from general manager to executive director. Though the responsibility was great, I faced each day with enthusiasm. My promotion from a hard-working employee to an executive director boosted the morale of the staff significantly. I aimed not just to sit in the director's chair, but to always consider my subordinates' feelings and be a proactive executive. Amidst my busy days, I couldn't help but wonder what had happened to Eric and Mike. My colleagues seemed to share my curiosity, and rumors about the two continued to spread. First, Eric still hasn't found a new job since being fired from Smile Corporation. He had a wife and kids, but they left him around the same time he lost his job. While Eric desperately wants to repair the relationship, his wife wants a divorce. He visits her daily, pleading for her to come back, but it seems the divorce is imminent. His loneliness has led to increased drinking, and he's been seen wandering the neighborhood drunk. Mike's situation was equally grim. Luckily, or unluckily, since he was single, there were no wife and kids to leave him. However, his affair was definitively ended by his mistress. Even though staying with her current husband ensured her financial stability, running off with jobless Mike was too risky. Her husband arranged with his company to be transferred out of town to ensure she wouldn't meet Mike again. It seems she plans to follow her husband, and they are working on repairing their relationship. Mike, now alone again, struggled to find another job. Having been single for so long, he had a significant amount of savings, which he then invested. He poured his money into high-risk investments and ended up suffering significant losses. He ended up depleting all the savings he had set aside for his future. Mike's future looks bleak. A year passed since I became an executive director. Our marriage remains as strong as ever. Though we didn't have children, we focused on cherishing our life together. To keep the romance alive, we have dinner at a high-end restaurant once a week. One evening, while dining at a restaurant with a view of the night skyline, Lily surprised me with unexpected news. She revealed that she is pregnant with twins. Despite the concerns of a pregnancy at 38, Lily is determined to safely deliver our twins. I plan to fully support her through the pregnancy and in raising our children. As we embrace the happiness of our growing family, we cherish each day